Welcome to Bank on Her. I'm Mackenzie Conklin, and I teach you how to make confidence a strength in and out of your business so you can build self-made wealth and unrealistic success on your terms. I've gone from defeatingly low self-worth to a multiple six-figure entrepreneur by learning how to bank on myself, and I believe you can do it too. Listen to find out how. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Bank on Her. Today's episode is definitely going to be a little different. It's my first interview on this podcast, and I actually have my past client and friend, Kristina, here. And I had originally asked her to come on to talk about her experience in Unlimited because she was a client in Unlimited, and we still will do that at some point. But she somehow turned this into, hey, I'm going to ask you a bunch of random questions instead, and we're just going to make it fun. And so that's what we're doing. She's just going to interview me today. I have really no idea what is coming, what's going to happen. I will also say that an hour before our scheduled time, she was like, what if we just drink before? And so we pushed it, and now we are both drinking. We've been drinking for the last hour, catching up. So we're just going to see where this goes. So I want to introduce Kristina if you don't know her. So she is a life coach for purpose-led women. Again, she was a client in Unlimited. She's actually the only person who I've ever had coach in Unlimited, which I think just speaks to her talents as a coach. She is a top contender for a co-coach in Unlimited, if I ever bring that in. But what she really focuses on, and she's really fantastic at it, is helping people who have done all the self-help, have that PhD in self-help, but are still feeling stuck and frustrated, overwhelmed. And she just helps them reprogram their thoughts, embrace the parts of themselves that make you feel flawed. And instead of really trying to fix yourself to feel happier and better, it's really all about embracing the parts of yourself that maybe you haven't loved, maybe you've been trying to fix, avoid, all of those things. And so welcome, Kristina.
Hello. That sounded so legit. I finished my White Claw while you were saying that, so I need to open it up. Let's see if we can get the crack. There you go, for dramatic effect.
You've been on an interview podcast, you said, but have you ever interviewed on a podcast?
No.
Okay. We're going to see how this goes. I've never been interviewed in this way. So
that's what
unedited gets. I'm also thinking of starting a series on the podcast just called Unedited. And this will obviously be number one because we're really not going to edit this except maybe excessive pauses and just cackling that's unnecessary for people to witness. So without further ado, I'm just going to let you take it away, and we're going to see where this goes.
I want to start out this interview by asking you, if you had a warning label, what would yours say?
Oh God. I almost think instead of a warning, it would be the opposite. So usually warning would be like, doesn't bite kind of thing. But I actually think I would need a label more of like an invitation sign towards me being like, she's actually really nice. So I feel like whenever people, at least in the real world, see me, they think I'm going to be mean, or they think I don't like them because I have a really bad resting bitch face. Like, it's just quite awful. And so I feel like I actually need a warning sign from people from afar of like, she's actually quite nice and fun and will love you. You just need to like walk up to her and say hi. And so I think it's almost the opposite of a warning label. I think I need that. I think my resting bitch face kind of acts as a warning label enough.
So you need like an anti-warning label because your face is the warning label.
Quite awful to say, but I think up until I actively realized that this was an ongoing pattern, I've like tried to fix and make my face seem very like warm and welcoming in new situations. But I got such feedback all through college and a couple years post-grad of like, I thought you hated me before we actually started being friends. And I'm like, no, I really don't hate anyone. I guess I just look like I'm mean, but
you just look like you hate everyone. Okay, wait. So you know the term for people who are neurodivergent that try to act more neurotypical around other people, and they call it masking. So do you feel like needing to, I guess, pretend like you don't have resting bitch face? Is that like masking?
I don't think it is, because I think most people, once they meet me, they realize I have a very bubbly personality. No, I don't even know if it's bubbly, but I'm extroverted. I want to chat. I love people. I don't want to small talk. I want to immediately know all the secrets that you don't tell other people, which I usually can get out of people once they start talking to me. But I don't think it's masking. I think it's just I think actually what it has to do is because I was insecure for so long, when I went into new social situations, I was in my head. I was worried about, making friends, if I could be social. I had social anxiety. And so I think I just got so in my own head that I was unaware of my facial expressions and how I was presenting myself. And so I think when I go in, I automatically am just making the resting bitch face. I don't think it's masking. Maybe it is though, but I don't think I'm like putting out this persona of who I'm not.
I mean, it's like stifling for the benefit of others. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know what the exact like definition of masking is, but something you said that I find hilarious is that you said that you like to talk to people and find out all the secrets that they like don't tell others. And I told you that's exactly what I wanted this podcast to be for you. What's the wildest thing that someone's told you?
I remember one time at a party, this girl who she was kind of in the same, we weren't even in the same circles. We had like a mutual friend of a mutual friend of a mutual friend. She came up to me and spent the entire night telling me how she secretly wanted to divorce her husband and has never said that out loud to anyone. And I was like, I don't know why you told me. I don't think they're married anymore, actually. So it seems like it got resolved, but I feel like that might be it.
Why did she want to divorce her husband?
She got married really young. I met her a couple of times. It seemed like from the story, she got married really young and wanted to be, I think she was 25 at the time. I was younger. I think she just wanted to live her life more. I don't know. But these things come out. But I'm ready to open up. I'm ready for the questions for me to tell my versions of I want to divorce my husband.
Okay. Well, you told me at one point, you're like, you don't have to share everything online. Like, I'm a pretty private person. Like, people know things. They know the things that I want them to know.
Yeah. I definitely am a private person, which again, seems surprising. I would say that I think in general, if you give small snippets of your life away, people feel like they know you really well. But I'm not one to use social media personally. Most people I would say not this last year, but 2020, 2021, I would guess most people in my life couldn't tell you where I lived. Like I'm pretty not on social media except for my business, in which case I am there every single day relentlessly. But I would say that I share, I don't know, as everyone knows, I think the thing that everyone likes to talk about is that I don't ever share my relationship, which is obviously a huge part of life. But there's things like that I don't share, but it's still private.
Okay, tell me why you don't want to share your relationship.
He's definitely not going to listen to this, so it's fine. I once said I don't show his face so that if I got a new boyfriend, I could just replace him and no one would ever know. But no, I think it's more of, it's not adding. It's not going to do anything for my business. It doesn't add, it doesn't do anything like that. And so it's more of like, I like to keep it private. I've also had people told me they already found him on social media and Instagram. And that really creeped me out to a point where I was like, I don't know you. So I don't need you to know him either. I don't know. I like to keep some things to myself. I think I show, like, for example, I'll show my nieces playing with me. I'll show my sister's dog, but I'm not really showing you've never seen my sister at all either. Right. So it's like, there's certain things that I think relationships in my life, I just kind of keep away from business unless, I don't know. I'm sure I'll share at some point. Like if I end up moving in with my boyfriend, I'm sure people are going to have to see him, but
when he becomes a more permanent fixture, I mean, that's why I don't share a lot of my relationship on Instagram, because I feel like if you break up, then you just have to explain to people that you broke up.
People always know too. I always know when there's like influencers who are broken up. I'm like, he's not been around for a couple of days. This isn't going well.
Okay. What is your biggest irrational fear?
Oh my God. Do you know what? I think things that move erratically, like birds, I don't know where they're going to fly, or little rodents, I don't know where they're going to go either. And so birds is definitely my biggest one. It's more like small moving animals. I don't like, I'll hold a hamster, sure. But like, I don't know, the wild ones scare me. I would say irrational fear. I don't think I've ever said this out loud. I won't kill spiders and I'll have someone do it for me in case one day all the spiders like develop brains and decide that they're going to seek revenge on those that have killed them. So I just won't kill spiders. Someone else is going to do it for me. But I don't like them. I want them killed, but I will not personally kill the spiders.
That's fair. I mean, I think there's also the risk of like killing a spider and like a bunch of babies crawling out.
Nope. Don't go there.
I heard a fun fact about spiders the other day, which they did not cite their sources. So whether or not this is scientifically accurate is still out for debate. But basically, I heard that spiders are learning to be more reclusive in households because the ones like from an evolutionary perspective, because the ones that are out and about get smushed. So you could just
brought this to my podcast.
You can secretly have a bunch of spiders in your house and not know it because they're intentionally learning how to be sneakier so they don't get murdered.
I'm just so angry that you brought this here.
I think I really appreciate fun facts. So
I feel like the horrible part of that is that for anyone who doesn't know, I live in San Francisco. All the buildings are really old. I'm looking at it right now. All the buildings are really old, which means all the windows are really old, and windows don't perfectly fit in the molding. So it's like my windows are closed right now, but I literally can see outside through a very small crack, which they can just crawl into. So great. Great.
Well, enjoy sleeping tonight.
Thank you.
This one.
Thank you so much. God.
Okay. I want to ask you a non-spider related question about your business. What dreams do you have for the future of your business? And I don't want like your bullshit, like polished version. I want the messy brainstorm, half-baked ideas that you're still kind of like weeding through and figuring out how they would even happen.
Okay. I would say, I'm just going to go off in random directions. I would say in general for my business, I would like to have more of a platform. And when I say platform, I just mean more of a space where it feels like very me, very widespread. And so I would love to pour more into video, whether that be YouTube, TikTok. I'm probably not a TikTok gal. I just can't do short form. I really like drift. I'd like to be a speaker. I would like to focus more on women in entrepreneurship and careers, but then also focus on women feeling confident in today's world. I want to get this podcast more regularly published and widespread. I'm not in the good habit of that yet. I would love to expand more into career-focused women. And so right now, I would say too, I attract a lot of different various types of entrepreneurs. And so I'm not someone who works with just coaches. I love working with coaches, but I love the variety. And so I've had private therapy practices, nonprofits, multiple local businesses, media companies, school founders. They're super fun. And so I want to keep expanding in that way and include those career women as well. Let's see. Writing a book seems incredible. I want to write a book at some point. Don't ask me the title because I'm afraid that question might come next. I would either want to do one focused on women becoming more confident and certain of themselves in their careers, whether it be their businesses or out of their businesses. But I would also like more of a short form books where it's like just a page has like random things on it, not like an Instagram post kind of thing, but almost kind of like that where it's just separate things. I would also love to write a book for younger girls feeling confident because I feel like that's when it all starts happening, that we develop the not enough narrative. I really want to scale Unlimited a lot more. And so this last round, we got 15 incredible women inside. I think I want to start going to the point where 20 women are inside at once. And I feel like I've done a very good job, which also the round you were in, I feel like Unlimited would be almost unrecognizable to you in a good way compared to what it is now. But I really like pouring my heart and soul into that and more into each round and making sure that even as I grow, the amount of clients that I have, the amount of support that each person gets grows. And so not quite sure about that, but I want it to feel where women can come to Unlimited and just feel like they get to exist and feeling more confident than they thought possible, come to this room, love themselves more than they thought possible. They come here to just prove how unlimited and miraculous their life can be when they just believe in their own power and feel safe sharing that with the world. And so I think anything that amplifies the power and effectiveness and healing and transformations that happen Unlimited is going to be a focus for 2023. And then I think I said this, but speaking engagements would be very, very cool for me. I love public speaking, which is a very weird quality for people to have, but I like it.
I mean, confidence and public speaking, I feel like go together. So it sounds weird that you focus so much on confidence, but I feel like also you haven't taken a drink in a really long time and you should.
I just took a sip.
Well, do it again. I can't be more drunk than you on your podcast.
Okay, fine. I just took a massive gulp of a slightly warm IPA now.
So you'd also said that Unlimited you thought would be unrecognizable to me in what I went through just recently. So how did you shift it from this last round to this round?
There is a much stronger focus on confidence, I would say. So it's always obviously been a large part of it, but I think the way in which I marketed it. And so the thing with your offers is the way you market it will deeply affect not only who comes in, but how they expect to be coached too. I marketed almost exclusively just to the confidence aspect, self-belief, loving yourself more in this last round. And so all the women who come in are very much more gearing that way, which I'm loving. And the marketing stuff is still there. The confident marketing approach, a lot of the lessons that you learn, but it's just all going through more of a lens of confidence. And so that is going through, we've switched a lot of the systems and we're getting more systems in place. So it feels better supported. I actually took your advice with doing a quiz right off the bat to monetize data, or not monetize, to visualize the data and go all the different ways with the data, which, I know you love, I love. And so it's more systemized, more focused on confidence. And I'm just going to keep having it be more and more on confidence. And then, so basically if you go through, which no one do this, if you go through all my posts from this last launch, it's such a strong focus on confidence. And only at the end did I really mention in the results, money or changing your life or upgrading lifestyles or moving abroad or all the wild things that people do in Unlimited. And so the whole focus has just been on loving yourself more, believing in yourself more. And so the people who are coming in and the way we're going about coaching is almost exclusively being taken through that lens, which I love.
Yeah, that sounds super cool and fun. And I'm slightly salty about it. As I previously messaged you during your launch, I had such FOMO and it felt like it was my ex-boyfriend, like flaunting like in front of me. And I just had to sit back and watch and be like, I remember the good times.
I think I screenshotted someone saying, I don't know if it was you or someone else, but I got an influx of messages after that first screenshot of being from people in your around being like, me too. I don't like this. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, if you could please just stop marketing your program and stop bragging about your clients for my sake, that would be much appreciated. Thank you.
Oh God. But yeah, so Unlimited has changed a lot in that way. I think it's with the systems I'm starting to implement, I think it's people feel even more supported too, which is nice. So I'm liking that. That's really, really fun.
What do you mean by more supported?
I mean, this is more nitty gritty stuff people probably don't care about, but we're in Slack exclusively. So it's not like people's messages being swamped in Voxer. The way in which we have things set up, no, literally no one's going to care about this part. I'm like taking the beer right out of my system right now. The way we've set up the back end. The way we've set up the back end with just getting feedback and questionnaires and checking in with clients is a lot stronger. I would say too, we're now having 2 calls a week. I feel like you're going to get mad at me. We now have 2 calls a week. And so people can come to both. And what else do we have? We're having monthly workshops. The other thing that I've been doing, which this was just a bonus, but I really love them, is marketing VIP days. And so the VIP days that I've done so far have been extraordinarily helpful for people's marketing just going into Unlimited before we even start. And so I'm debating if we keep that bonus or what I'll do with it, but I've enjoyed it. So we'll see. But it's getting real good.
It sounds like it's definitely evolved and I'm excited for you. I love that for you. I loved watching, even though I was salty about it, I loved watching marketing because it's always fun to watch you market. But okay, so having more of this focus on confidence, I am dying to ask you this question. Okay. If there was someone that needed help with confidence in business and they were never going to read your Instagram, they were never going to read your emails, they're never going to hire you. This is your absolute one shot to talk to them. The only thing that they will ever hear from you is the answer to this question. What message do you have for them about confidence?
So Kristina emailed me the questions she might ask me weeks ago because we had to push this off. And I read that question and I sat down to prep for it and I read that and I was like, never mind. It's like, I'm not going to prep for this. So I'm just going to see how it goes. I still have been racking my brain and I feel like I want to have you come on once every month for just to ask me the question, see what new things pop up for me. But okay, here's the other thing I have to know. In my head, I was thinking that this has to be like a one sentence liner thing. Does it have to? Like, I like explaining things.
No, you're like a riff. I mean, it can be, like as long as you want. It's your podcast. Why are you asking me?
I've never had anyone on here.
It doesn't have to be one sentence. It can be as long-winded as you want it to. This was just out of all of the questions I thought of, I was like, I am most curious to hear.
You're like, I'm going to spin her out.
Yeah. I'm going to stress you out.
I wish I could just be like, go buy my book. Because then you can read everything. And that'd be great.
What's the title of
it? Go away. I don't know. Okay. So I think if it's someone in business struggling to sign clients and feeling underconfident, I'm going to go with a marketing angle. And then I'm going to go with actually something I've written down long ago that I feel like is my advice to go to. So in general, to give context, I've gotten a lot of questions lately, and it will probably be more of a focus in at least the start of 2023 around how I became confident and more of my story. But I would say in terms of the confidence piece, the one thing that I wanted people to know is that like growing your confidence in general, it's not poised, fast, or linear. It's messy and repetitive and painful. It was slow. It threw tantrums. I threw tantrums. I would just say it's very unpredictable and unknown. And I don't think I'd have it any other way. And I needed to let it be what it needs to be. And so with you and with not with you, with anyone listening who I'd be talking to, I think one of the most important shifts to make in terms of confidence is to continually recommit over and over. Sometimes I do it up to 50 times a day. The idea that I am special and intelligent and beautiful and powerful and lovable. And there is, just to extend this even longer, there's something irreplaceable and unique and unlike any other, alluring, magnetizing, earth-shattering about me that can never be replaced. And I think about everyone too, and you have to see that in yourself. And so that, really no matter how many people walk this planet, no one will ever quite find the magic that's in your combination of intelligence and gifts and beauty and power, worth, words, energy, presence, quirks, and mannerisms, and that people love you for it and people will choose you for it. And I had to believe this about myself. And again, I think people think that confidence will be, it just comes, or it comes naturally to other people, and it might, but it's something that is a learned skill. And I had to practice it so many times over. I had to put in the reps. I basically, the equivalent, had to go to the gym all the mornings I didn't want to go, do the things I didn't want to do to kind of get there. And I think if people realize that it's a skill that's learned and trained, I think confidence would become more accessible. And so I think it's not forcing it, just letting it be and take on the different forms is important. In terms of more like signing clients wise, let me think. I think just putting your customers at the center. You've heard me say this, but putting your customers at the center of your universe. And so whatever you do, focus on giving them solutions, on solving their problems, about thinking about them more than you're thinking about yourself in terms of your marketing. And so the more you help them get a transformation, get closer to what they desire, open their eyes up to new possibilities, and in making them feel like they're closer to what they desire and it's more capable and it's more possible, they're more capable. That's really important in marketing. And I really think this kind of goes back to the confidence too. I really think this can only be done once you feel so safe and whole in yourself that when marketing, you don't need to worry about what if people don't like me? What if I don't say the right things? What if I fail? And so the more you practice the skill of confidence and loving yourself, all parts of yourself, feeling whole and safe, and just really embracing and loving whoever you are, the less real estate that will be taken up in your head when marketing about yourself. And the more that you can focus on your customers and clients and put them at the center of your universe. And so I think the more that you can do that and focus on how can I make my marketing so incredible and my solutions and what I do and just help these people endlessly, the more you focus on them, the more you'll sign clients, and that helps your confidence as well. Does that make sense? That was a long answer. I feel like I need one sentence for you. My one sentence, I'm trying to make the decision over and over and over to choose thoughts that support you and how you see yourself. That's my short answer, I think.
Perfect. No, I feel like it's also, when I hear you talk about confidence too, it's like so wild to me because it's so hard for me to imagine you not being confident. Like when you're like, I used to be so unconfident, and I don't know, whatever else you say about your story. I'm just like, you're lying. Like, this is not true.
Tell me more. I'm just trying to see how I can approach answering this in some way. Tell me more. What makes it?
It's just like hard, just like seeing you now, like it's just so hard to imagine you like struggling with confidence. Like it's just, it seems like it would, I mean, it probably is like a different person, like a different version of you. It seems like an entirely different person that it's really hard for me to picture you like being that version of you, if that makes sense.
I think I am an entirely different version. That's the thing. And I think the essence of me is still very much there. I think I've always been someone who cares intensely about others, and always someone who's more, no one's going to believe this, more quiet and reserved. And I would just say the essence and the quality of who I am stayed the same, but how I present myself to the world and first how I treated myself changed, and therefore how I presented myself to the world changed. So I would say, a different person, but it's not like if you didn't know me, you wouldn't recognize me or think I was wildly different. Just how I relate to myself and therefore others is different.
So what parts of you do you feel like got amplified when you were able to remove some of that like doubt and questioning and like fully step into confidence?
What parts were amplified?
Yeah, like what parts were under the surface that, because I think you just said like you were able to like step into yourself more or something. I don't remember exactly what you said, but like what parts were kind of dormant that you felt like got amplified when you went down the confidence road?
I feel like this is such a blanket statement, but I'm just going to try and riff my way into it. But like my entire personality, how I showed up. Okay, so let's go back to the warning label. So like I said, when people met me, it was very much like, she doesn't like me. She must be a bitch, like all these things. But really what was happening in all of that was just a very shy, anxious girl who was in her own head the whole time. And so it just took a lot longer for people to basically uncover all of like who I am underneath that. And I think even in situations in which I was comfortable, everything was really going through a filter. Like what I said, and is this funny? And like, what if people like me, and how will this be perceived, and all those things. And so I think just my humor, how I treat people, me caring, it's like a huge layer of shame just got removed and filtering myself. And so I would just say who I am comes out a lot more. Like it's not being filtered. It's not being weighed down by shame. It's not being edited. I just found safety in presenting who I am to the world more strongly because I stopped filtering myself. I stopped shaming myself. I started loving myself. And so things that I had to go through this like rigorous testing first to put out into the world, now just go out into the world.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like people didn't have to work to get to know you because that like layer of unconfidence that was clouding it all just kind of bloop.
Yeah. And I think, boop, I think too, in terms of, I mean, I wasn't an entrepreneur at the time, but every action I took in career, in school at the time, all these things, I don't want to say it was like slow motion, but it just took a lot longer for me to take action. And the action was, again, very filtered. Whereas now it's a lot easier for me. I don't want to say it's easy for me to succeed because it's not. And this is a whole other topic about working in business that we might cover, we might not. But because I am so okay with myself, I'm less filtered. I think I can do things a lot faster without questioning myself. And therefore, really, it's like, instead of going on stage and speaking to a crowd without a mic, it's like someone handed me the mic. Like, it just goes a lot further, a lot more strong, powerfully, I think, because I'm not expending energy questioning myself like I used to. I'm trying to, I love analogies. I make them up on the fly. Sometimes they hit, sometimes they don't.
Yes. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. I'm wondering, so like you just have such like a confident vibe, which makes sense because like your whole thing is confidence. But this is the second question that I was most excited to ask you is like, I want to know what you're insecure about. And if you say nothing
Ever. No, I sent you the longest message ever about this. Do you not remember that you had asked me and I sent you like 45 pages?
Oh, yeah. Because I forget what it was about, but basically I was like, I don't care about your confidence. Tell me about your insecurities because I'm interested in that more.
Okay. I think what I had told you then, and I think what am I not confident? Okay. The question is what I'm not confident in, correct?
Yeah. Like, what are you most like insecure about?
I want to say in general, the thing, I wouldn't say it's like one area. People ask me a lot. I'll get DMs to be like, were you confident in dating? Which I think, yes. But the thing, I'm trying to think of how I want to describe this. I was insecure about everything before. And a lot of that came from conditioning. I don't want to go about saying this. This IPA is not helping me.
IPAs always help.
I would say that before I got stuck in the questioning myself, that I dimmed myself, I shrunk myself for so long. And now it's not like I don't feel insecure, but all that conditioning still pops up. But instead of me missing opportunities or not going after things or not speaking up, it just lasts for a couple seconds. I think that's what I had told you in the DMs. And so, for example, I do know I told you this. I never thought I was likable. Back to that warning label. I never thought I was pretty enough. I never thought that I was fashionable enough. And so I think the example I gave you, which is very real, is that if I am having a day where I'm like, I look like a flaming bag of trash, which, who doesn't feel that way sometimes. And then I have to go out and there's like all these beautiful women there will definitely, that insecurity, it's not like it's never there anymore. It'll pop up for a few seconds. And that skill that I told you of like telling myself 50 million times a day and however many times it takes, that skill just kicks in a lot faster. And so it'll still come up where it'll be thoughts of, oh my God, I don't look good. Like everyone here looks amazing. They're all so beautiful. Like they're all so smart. All those thoughts will come up, but they're less intense. I don't believe them. And the skill of reminding myself how I treat myself kicks in very fast. And so I don't want to say I'm not insecure about anything, but I also don't want to pretend like it's perfect confidence because I don't think anyone has that. I think it's a practice skill. And so again, it's just, and I've told you this, like not you specifically, but I tell my clients the analogy, and I haven't used it recently, of when you're, for example, if you're like selling and you get out of the habit of it and get back on, it's kind of like riding a bike that you haven't ridden in a really long time. And it's like wobbly at first and it's uncomfortable and you look kind of awkward. And so I would say that my skill of confidence is just well practiced. Like I've been riding that bike for ages versus before it was like I had never ridden a bike before. So I was wobbly. I was all over the place. I kept hopping off the bike because I was like, I don't know how to ride this thing. Whereas now it's as soon as I hop on the bike and that thought comes up, I can get going and kind of change that.
Yeah, no. So it's less about insecurities and like, it's not that they come up less, or maybe they do still come up less, but it's more about being intentional about moving through them and having that skill to be able to move through them faster so that it doesn't like linger and turn into like a festering.
Yeah. And I would say that some areas they've definitely gone away. Some areas they still might linger. So for example, I used to be super insecure with dating things. Like I very much needed to be validated and never thought I was enough. And now I don't think there's anyone who can really trip me up on like no one's going to make me question myself. No one's going to make me think I'm less than or undeserving. That area, I'm like locked and loaded. That won't come up again. But I would say like dancing, for example, I would say people could probably tell I'm never going to go to the dance floor first. I am aware of my body. That's not going to be me. I might be awkward the first 5 minutes. And it's almost like if someone who knew me was watching me, they could see I'm like processing through that in my head probably, right? But then after those first couple minutes, I'm good. I'm there, I'm dancing away, I'll be there all night. But I think there's just some areas where it's gone completely. It's less frequent, but there are areas where it pops up a little bit more. I think it's all about conditioning and healing the conditioning and or trauma. Yeah.
I want to know if anyone answered your poll or your question box.
I feel like no, but let me see. I'm going to be so hurt. Okay. I did get a question. What is it? Does it feel unethical or misleading to you to talk about sales numbers instead of cash?
What?
I talk about both, so I feel like it's fine.
I feel like you shouldn't answer that question on the pod.
Does it feel unethical? No. I do talk. Do I not talk about cash? I feel like I do. I talk about it in terms of how much I pay myself.
Yeah, I guess.
And how much I save every month, which is cash. I don't think I'd come out about how much in cash I've made like per month quite as much.
So I feel like cash. Okay, this is my personal opinion that I'm inserting into the conversation. The question. But I feel like sales versus cash isn't necessarily like quote unquote unethical. I feel like it's more like cash versus expenses. It's
I would totally agree with that.
It's like, I'm making $100,000, but I spend $90,000 in expenses. So like, you're not really making $100,000. I mean, no, I love how you brought that high of an expense bill, but you know what I'm saying.
I don't think it's unethical. You tell me, Kristina, you watch my stuff. I don't watch my own stuff. I just put it out there and see what happens. But
you don't watch your stuff.
I don't rewatch my stuff. No.
What whenever I post anything, I reread it, rewatch it like at least 6 times.
I'm like, should we coach on this?
No, I rewatch my stuff and I'm like, hell yeah. Look at you go, bitch.
Hell yeah.
Look at you fucking go. And
I love when you message me and you're like, I fucking love my marketing. No, I don't rewatch my stuff. I don't feel like I often talk about my personal business numbers anymore, unless I have recently. I talked about the size of my recent launch, and I talked about how I basically talked about how I made more money this year in sales than I expected while living with depression, anxiety, my nervous system totally immobilized. But my focus, I think I mentioned it once, and my focus was really the depression, anxiety. But I talk money about my clients. I don't often talk money myself anymore. You tell me if I'm wrong.
No. Yeah, I see that. I feel like when you talk about money, it's mainly talking about like how quickly you were able to make money when you started your business because you were confident. And so it's more about like the vehicle and less about the result, but more so of like, this is why this happened, but not necessarily focusing on
it's
like
solution.
the dollar amount itself.
Yeah. Solution focused for sure. I don't feel unethical though. I think whenever anyone asks me, I'm like maybe a little too transparent about things. No, it doesn't feel, I think if you're doing a healthy mix of both, which okay. So recently I have said on not recently, but maybe I don't know. I've said on my stories, I have a 6-figure salary, like pre-tax salary. And if someone can just do the math in their head of what my cash is, but I guess I'm not directly saying this is my sales month, this is my cash month, but that's more because I don't focus. I'm not a sales coach. I don't focus on that quite so much.
I mean, I would also really hope that people aren't like going through your content and writing down your numbers and like doing calculations.
I know for a fact I've said a number the other week because I was really proud that I had saved 5 figures in cash from 1 month. But again, like that's a cash number. I'm just not, I don't know. I really don't talk my sales anymore unless I just talked about my launch or the overall year. So I don't feel unethical.
Yeah, I don't. The conversation about money is like, I feel like so nuanced. It's like people either want it to be like, yes, it's unethical to talk about money, or like, no, it's not. And it's like, there's just so much nuance in the conversation. It's like how you're doing it, why you're doing it, like what's your goal? Like, are you trying to like seduce people with your marketing and being like, look at my $500,000 I made and I'll teach you how. And like, that's the extent of it. You know, like there's just so much to the conversation. And I feel like people either want to hate on doing it or hate on not doing it. And it's like, there's pros and cons to all.
Yeah. I like that. Okay. You guys couldn't see my face, but I like opened my mouth in surprise when another question came in that says, ooh, did you manifest your partner? I definitely had a list going of qualities that I would have wanted in a person. I would say he does hit quite a lot of them. Did I manifest it? I don't know. How would you quantify if I manifest?
Okay, wait, I think we need to back up. What are your thoughts about manifestation in general? Like what are your ideas about it, or what do you think it is, or do you believe in it or do you not? Like just let's start with that.
My God, I'm a little afraid to go here. I am not.
That's the whole point. This is great.
I am not quite in the manifestation realm of anything. I don't. Okay, so people have to know in general. I think I say this, but maybe I don't. I really don't go on Instagram and follow people quite closely. I just don't. So anyway, I don't consume a lot of the manifestation things. I have gotten the vibe that industry is a little bit privileged. Like, I think it's not as accessible to everyone in the ways that it's taught of just decide and just believe and things of that nature. I do believe in the idea that the more you have supportive thoughts, the more you're able to feel supported and have feelings that make you feel, I don't want to say better, but better. And you can take stronger actions to create what you want. And I think you're also in the mindset where you are looking for good rather than, I don't even want to say expecting bad, but just not looking. And it's not that I don't believe in manifestation, but I think that it can often feel inaccessible to marginalized identities and those less privileged.
I agree with that. So the other day, I bought something that was just like a couple $100 because I was curious, and it was someone talking about manifesting, and they started talking about how like you're always manifesting whether you realize it or not, because your subconscious is always on and thinking about things. And like if you are spending that time like worrying and stressing and thinking about what you don't want, then you're going to call that in. And as someone with anxiety disorder, it's like, okay, well, where does that leave me? Because I can't always control that. And so I think that when people are leaving, especially like mental illness out of the conversation, manifesting can get very sticky and exclude people like very quickly, because it's like, okay, well then like, am I just shit out of luck then? Because I'm always going to be a little bit anxious. So I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I think when you're not neurotypical, when you have anxiety, when you have, when you deal with depression, I totally think it can make you feel like good things can't happen to you. I've written a little bit of recently how we often are, I think, just conditioned into the idea and told in, I think, just through media and society and all the things, that people who are anxious, are depressed, have mental health struggles, it's less likely they'll be successful. I do think with the subconscious, right, it's always got things going on. I think it's more of it's like I said, I think it's just easier to find wins when you are actively deciding that you will win. And that can coexist with anxiety and depression and neurodivergence and all the things.
I feel like that goes back to more of a sciencey than a spiritual thing, because it's like you think about like self-fulfilling prophecies, and just like with your thoughts, what you choose to think guides your actions. So obviously, if you are choosing to believe that like good things are coming to you, then you act in accordance with that, as opposed to being like, oh, well, I'm thinking this and it will magically appear. I don't know. I've been having some like thoughts and feelings about manifestation lately. I'm like, do I want to learn about this, or do I want to say that I think it's not my thing?
I just feel like it's very complex.
That's fair. So did you manifest your partner? Yes or no?
I would say in the way that I turned my brain on to be more conscious of the things and qualities that I wanted in a person. And so therefore I was able to better look out for them and search for that. So did I intentionally have thoughts to find someone who was more like my partner? Yeah. Did I manifest him? I don't know. I went on a bunch. I was going to say I went on a bunch of dates, but I didn't even go on a bunch of dates. I went on like 5.
So this question was not directed at me whatsoever, but I think I accidentally manifested my relationship, because I literally wrote down a list after a super toxic, awful, shitty relationship. And I was like, these are my standards and I will accept nothing less. And then I ended up in a relationship with a person that like had all these qualities. So how or why that happened, I don't really know, but
I would say too, I dated a guy who definitely was not properly manifested in order to find the one who I am dating now, who is maybe properly manifested. I don't know. So did I? Sure. If you believe in manifestation, you would probably believe that I manifest my partner. If you don't, then you probably believed I was just intentionally dating.
Perfect. Okay. I have a really random, unrelated question for you. How did you get into baking?
I'm like, how far back do I want this story to go? So on my Italian side, I feel like the alcohol kicks in more and more with each question. I just get sillier and stupider sounding. Okay. On my Italian side, we all bake a lot. There's like a million Italian, like coming off, it's December right now when recording this. So there's a million cookies everywhere. I have more cookies just of leftover cookies than that will last me more than this whole next year. So it's just, baking was always around. I know when I was little, my mom used to bake birthday. I was very spoiled. My mom used to bake birthday cakes and decorate them depending on whatever I was into that year. So I've had a cell phone one year when I was like 16 or whatever. I had
too. I had a cell phone cake too.
I had a soccer ball. I had a castle cake when I was little. I had a truck. I had a truck one year. I don't know. Anyway, so I had all these cakes. I remember I baked my ex-boyfriend his 25th birthday cake, and it just turned out to be immaculate. It was just quite impressive. Maybe one of my best cakes yet. And it was my first. And then I just sent the picture around. Oh, you know what? I sent it. This was when I was at corporate. There was some baking competition and I won the baking competition because my cake was so impressive. And so then I just started getting recruited to bake cakes for members of my family or my friends. And that's it. That's my only baking experience I've made maybe 8 cakes total in my life. That's my baking experience. And then just with my family with Italian cookies and things of that nature.
I feel like you're so good at decorating for only baking 8 cakes because cake decorating is really hard, at least in my opinion, from the cakes I've made. And it takes so long. It takes so
long. Take a really long time. Yeah. It's not, I would say sometimes it's an enjoyable process for me. Sometimes it's not. So actually in March of this year, my niece's birthday falls right around, it's like within the same week as my boyfriend's birthday. So I had to bake 2 cakes in 1 week. And I was just, it was a job. It was not an enjoyable activity anymore. Oh, you know what I was going to say? I have always, especially in my insecure phases, and less so now, I definitely think I'm a creative person now. I think creativity just comes out in different ways, but I think everyone is so used to telling themselves that they're not creative unless they're an artist. I think I just realized that I am very creative when it comes to cakes. That's my like artistic creativity. I'm good at dessert decorating. I now think I'm actually creative with writing. I think I'm a good writer, but that's when I kind of realized I was like, oh, I am creative, just not in a traditional sense. Like,
that's fair. I don't think, creativity and art aren't the same thing.
Yeah.
They also often get lumped together.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was just wondering about that because I think you're the only person I know that like also bakes stuff well. Mm-hmm. So that's why I always
you're much more of a baker than I am. I get recruited to do cakes on birthdays, but that's really the extent of my baking. You're like a legit baker.
I am a legit baker. I'm not a legit decorator, which you are a legit decorator, in my opinion.
You don't show your decorations that often. Okay, also I have to tell
they suck.
So for anyone who doesn't know, my favorite testimonial of all time from all of my clients and the like hundreds upon hundreds that I have, not subtle plug, is actually Kristina's. And it was one where she like very genuinely came to Unlimited one week and celebrated that she nailed her cookie recipe. And today, like, let me scroll to it. Today, like an hour before we were supposed to go on here, she just DMs. Kristina and I are almost always talking in the DMs, but we hadn't over break really. And out of nowhere, I get a DM that's like, I need to amend one of my Unlimited testimonials. And I was like, oh God. I was like, oh God, what is this going to be like? So she just DMs me and is like, the secret to good cookies isn't just cold butter, like I said. It's also an extra egg yolk and letting it sit in the fridge for 24 hours and using milk chocolate instead of trash semi-sweet. Because in her testimonial, I guess she had said the recipe for a perfect cookie, but it's now amended. So I don't know how I'm going to go about amending that, but I'll do
I'm going to need you to update the people because I initially had just said it's cold butter, which when I found out about cold butter, my mind was blown. But then there have been some new advancements. Advancements? Is that a word?
I think so. How many White Claws have you drank?
Just 2. I just finished my second one.
Very nice.
So it's fine.
Okay. Well, let me see if I have any more questions. If we don't, in the meantime, Kristina, where can people find you?
The Instagram. Coach with Kristina with a K, Kristina.
If you're looking for a life coach, if you're looking for anyone to help you with the trash that you feel in your life, you're not feeling fully happy, you're not feeling fully fulfilled, you are super purpose-led, you have this big vision, you can do it, but you're just not feeling good all the time, go hire Kristina. Okay, this is a lot of fun. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Kristina will most definitely be back to talk about her experience on Unlimited. She'll probably be back again for more interviews. Next time, I might prep in advance and not just throw a thing on my stories right as we're starting and give it some more time for questions. But thank you for coming, Kristina, and interviewing me. And I'm sure that people will let me know next time what they would like me to uncover about myself. And you can be the one to do it.
Cool. Thanks for having me. This is fun.
Okay, bye everyone. Thanks for listening.
Bye.